Welcome back to episode 8 of It's Just Cricket slash It's Just Not Cricket. Um, Back with me, myself, of course, Matthew, and you, of course, Jamie. Hello, Jamie.
Hello.
Are you ready to talk some cricket?
I mean, sure. Yeah, why not? We're here now.
A lot's happened since. Our last podcast was cricket that makes you go whoa, but we changed the whoa to a sad whoa, um, in the kind of predictions for what was to come. Um, but I think we can say we've been pleasantly surprised, wouldn't you think?
I think it's a pretty optimistic whoa now.
Yeah, and an optimistic whoa opposed to a woe is me.
Or as opposed to a Chris Woe.
Very nice, very good.
Thank you.
Stay wokes, stay wokes. Nice. I think the main pod today is going to be talking about the England New Zealand series. Got a lot of thoughts about that, but I think it's always fair to just quickly go over the other cricket that's going on in the world. Did you know there's other cricket happening?
I have been aware there is some.
Some.
I will not
Nice.
tell you the extent of my understanding of it.
Well, here's a surprise quiz.
Getting.
So we've got two other series happening, or in the middle of, or tours, or whatever happening at the moment. Another one starting later this week. The first one up is Sri Lanka v Australia. They recently played each other in a T20 series. My question is to you, Jamie, and to the audience, if you want to play at home. What was the result of that series?
I'm. I'll be honest. I can barely remember the first team you said.
So Sri Lanka v Australia in Sri Lanka.
I'm gonna say
Three
Sri Lanka.
T20s.
I'm gonna say Sri Lanka won. I'm not basing it on anything, just that I'd expect Australia to win.
So you're going to say Sri Lanka win?
Yeah,
What's the scoreline, do you reckon? Three
two-
T20s.
2-1.
2-1.
Mhm.
It was 2-1, but to Australia. So Australia won the first game by 10 wickets, snooze. Won the next game by 3 wickets, snooze. But no one's going to be talking about those because everyone's going to be talking about the few couple of dozen people who watched this series. Everyone's going to be talking about the third game where Sri Lanka won. Just a few quick statos on this because I don't really want to waste my time that much. Sri Lanka needed 59 off 3 overs, and they did it with 1 ball to spare, with Dasan Chanaka finishing on 54 not out of 25 balls. I think my favourite stat from this is I think Josh Hazlewood, had only gone for 2 or 3 runs in his first 3 overs, and then finished with 4 overs, 2 for 25. So got some treatment at the end. So yeah, I think it's quite funny that Australia won the series, but the only match of note is the one that Sri Lanka won.
It's proper T20 cricket as well, to just go for nothing and then get completely slapped. So,
Yeah,
well, Josh.
pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Excellent stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of a series that happened. They've now got a ODI series coming up, so get excited for that. Followed by a Test series, one would imagine. The other series going on. This is a 5-match series between South Africa and India in India. They've played 2 games. What do you think has been the results in those 2?
I'm going to say it's 1-1 at the minute.
You going
Don't-
1-1?
Yeah, I don't. I know. I mean, I don't. I'm not going to say I know, but I feel like India aren't as strong as they used to be anymore. And South Africa are kind of getting back up to where they used to be.
Yeah, on the bit of the resurgence.
Yeah.
South Africa are winning that series 2-0 at the moment.
Sick.
Quite comprehensively. They won the first game by 7 wickets. Rashid van der Dussen and David Miller put on, I think it's well over 100 partnership. They think they need about 111 or 12 off the last 10. I did it with 5 balls to spare, did it easy in the end. Second game, South Africa then won that by 4 wickets as well, chasing a small target. That one only 149 compared to chasing down 212 in the first game. It's a similar kind of thing of team batting second normally wins, but just nice to see South Africa doing well, and Team IPL not. Uh, but yeah, 3 more games to go in that series. Be interesting to see how it goes because obviously we have got South Africa this summer, and I think that will be quite a good contest. But yeah, 3 more games to go. What's your overall prediction for that series that we'll probably forget to talk about?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously India are going to just come back. They're going to take it 3-2 now.
Hmm.
They've given South Africa
Yeah,
their 2 easy
yeah,
games,
yeah.
and they won't implode any further. Like, they're in a
Pretty
great
much. Yeah,
they're in a great position. Their cricketing board aren't complete
yeah,
morons. So,
yeah. Nice, 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 nice. Um, and then there's another white ball series starting this Friday. Last quiz question: who is playing in that 3-match ODI series?
I know England are going to Netherlands soonish.
Hmm.
So I'm going to say that because it's the
Yeah,
only one I know.
it is, even
Oh,
though it's in the middle of a test series. That kind of just sums up England fixture lists that we've got another series going between a series. So obviously no one in the test squad is going, quite shockingly. I think the only big surprise omission, I'd suppose, is that Sam Bennings wasn't in the squad. Um, he has been overlooked for this series. Do you want to know the squad? I might have sent you the squad.
I mean, I yeah, go for it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so you got your normal. You got Owen Morgan, who I think's maybe in his last year. You got Mo, Joss, Bryden Cast from that fun Pakistan
Hmm.
series last year. Sam Curran, Liam Livingston, Davin Malan. Your favourite David Payne, Bring the Pain.
Yes.
Rashid, Jay Roy, Phil Salt, Reece Topley, David Willey, and Luke Wood from Lancashire, I think, as the only uncapped player, as well as David Payne in that team. So straight away, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 left arm. No, sorry, Sam Curran, 5 left arm seamers, which is quite exciting.
I mean,
Maybe.
that's going to be the new norm. Like we've had right arm seamers for basically since the inception of the game. Why not try going like 4 left arm seamers? Like
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it'd be good to see how well they go, and maybe you can integrate one of them that necessarily isn't Sam Curran into the test side as well. I think it'd be quite good. So yeah, I mean that series is going to be happening. Fully expecting them to just win that 3-0 or win the first two and then give up in the last one, and Netherlands get a brackets historic victory. Um, so we'll look forward to that. Do you reckon 3-0 sweep the board, easy peasy?
like it's still England.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm still going to go 3-0,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think one of the games there's going to be a collapse or we'll score less and the bowlers will
Yeah.
bail us out. I think one of the games is going to be a tricky one. I think it's
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I can't say I've ever seen a game in Netherlands take place. I can't. I don't know what pitches are going to be like. I don't know where they're playing. Just sounds like quite a nice trip to go on holiday for a bit of cricket as well. But yeah, we'll give you all the updates from that. Maybe. Um, the main thing we'll get to now we've got the other cricket out the way is of course the ongoing test series between New Zealand and England. The second test ongoing at the moment, and Jamie, it looks like it's going to be a cracker. We're going into day 5. I'm going to say all the scores, but if you listen to this, you probably know all the scores. New Zealand got 553 in their first innings. England replied 539. And at the end of day 4, New Zealand closed on 224 for 7. Hundreds in the game for Mitchell, Blundell, Root, and Pope. Um, it's from the outset when it's going to be a pretty flat game of 500 plays 500. I think it's anything but. What's been your verdict on this test, Mr. Jamie?
it's been it's just been really weird. Like as soon as you see New Zealand going big and getting that 500 plus, you immediately fear the worst with England and they'll just get bowled out for 200 and have to follow on. But it's just like fair play to Lees and Pope. I think there's something to be said about both teams wanting the ball to be changed and how flat the wicket has been. But like Lees and Pope still stepped up and kept England in the game for a bit, and then Root just comes in and takes the piss again.
I mean, you say flat pitch. I think in this game there's been 9 dropped catches. Now, Just Not Cricket was live at Trent Bridge on Friday, and it should have probably been a completely different scenario because New Zealand were 170 for 4, and then we dropped Mitchell on 3, who obviously then goes on to get 190. So that would have been 170 for 5. You get a new Bracewell and debut come in, probably looking at 280 all out, and then Root should have been caught yesterday a couple of times. Lees has dropped on about 12. So it could have been 310 plays 280 or something, and then we suddenly got 500 or plays 500, maybe more from fielding errors and stuff. Because you look at performances, I'd say, from England New Zealand today. I know it's day 4, but there's definitely a fair bit in this pitch. Boult obviously got 5 for as well. It's quite good to see runs being scored. Also, Pope got dropped as well, of course, didn't he? And he got 145. Yeah. So it could have been different. But then you also have someone like Stokes who comes in and smashes 46 off 30 balls, and it's like, well, is it flat? But it's a weird pitch. I don't think it's a bad pitch by any stretch. I think it's definitely got enough in it for everyone. Probably favours bat a bit more, but also Trent Bridge, quick outfield, short boundaries, runs will flow. But then when wickets tumble, they probably will come in clusters. It's been interesting. It's not been like an Indian or subcontinent pitch where it's 600 play 600 draw. It's been quite exciting. I quite enjoyed it,
No, so perhaps I should have said a batting friendly wicket. Like you said, there's been a load of dropped catches.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the batting's been on top. Obviously, the batting's been on top. But it's just been, been a weird pitch. Like today, it started to do weird stuff. I think there was one ball. I mean, there wasn't one ball, but there was one ball particularly of Broads that just did a lot from absolutely nothing. And I think the pitch is starting to do some weird shit today. So tomorrow, I'm looking forward to it just ballooning all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. And it's weird as well because it doesn't necessarily do. It does a little bit of the new ball early on, and then probably flattens out a bit, but then around about the 20-30 over mark it comes back again and then gets really soft and flat before the next new ball. It's weird how the kind of swing change and stuff, because again when I was there on Friday, there was Broad and Anson's opening spell was very kind of air, and New Zealand really raced out the tracks, but then Broad came on for a second spell after lunch, and probably it's the best I've seen him bowl in the series. He didn't get any wickets, but he beat the edge multiple times. It felt like, maybe it's just going to be one of those Broad spells, but that was out of nothing when the ball's lost its shine. New Zealand are going along at 4 and over, but yeah, it's been definitely a great watch for sure. I think just to talk about some of the performances, I'm pretty sure in our last podcast I was seething at the selection of Ollie Pope at number 3. He's obviously now got 145. It'd be very easy for me to do what is quite a normal pessimistic cricket fan perspective, say that it's just a flat wicket. But even if it was flat, you're still getting 145s in test matches, 145 more runs than I could get in a test match. So I mean, fair play to him. After that drop catch, it was pretty chanceless. Some of the shots were pretty great to watch, and you hope that kind of gives him some confidence to really kind of push on and make that position his own. So I'd say hats off.
I think you do still have to ask the question as to why it's happened in this test match. Lees is starting to find his feet a bit more, but he's got his highest test score as well, and with Pope getting only his second test 100, you do have to ask, is the pitch contributing to that? Is it the ball going a bit softer earlier than you think it is? You can't take away what they've done, but why this test match?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I think it is a good jumping off point for them. Because if they would, if you look at the way the reactions to Crawley and Bairstow for not getting any runs, it's kind of like a never-ending loop, isn't it? Because Crawley and Bairstow can't get runs on a fat wicket, but then Pope and Lees get runs on a wicket with batting friendly. Be like, they only get runs on a batting friendly wicket. It's like there's no real, I don't know. It feels that endless cycle, but I think getting a big score and Lees getting a good start. I think Lees batted pretty well at Lords as well, for not obviously that many, but he looks a bit more assured. Getting runs on the board in the bank, shall we say, will only give them more and more confidence that they can perform at this level. And then when it's trickier, they know that they can score when the going gets less tough. So, I think it's only good at this stage. Also, Folkes got 56 as well before he was kind of needlessly run out by Potts. I thought he played really well at Lords as well, and followed that on today. Kind of, again, making that position his own. I think I only let one by through, and again, a tricky kind of wicket to keep on as well. So, I mean, why were we persevering with Butler for so many years? It's got to be questioned. But yeah, it's again, like, most of my stuff to say about this test match is that I've really enjoyed watching it, to be honest. And I think that's something that's been hard to come by as an England cricket fan. Because Lords was good. I enjoyed Lords a lot. But that was very much in the balance all the time. I think it just had a bit of more of a... England scoring 500 hasn't happened, I think, in England since 2015, I think the stat was, or something. So, England scoring big runs... It's quite exciting. I enjoyed it a lot. Did you have fun?
I have had fun. It's been a really interesting, kind of weird test match. Like Mitchell and Blundell with their hundreds as well, with excellent. And like, again, with Root just batting so easily, I'd be really interested.
I've talked about Root, yeah.
I know. I'd be really interested to have seen how Williamson would have done as well.
For sure. Because how does Williamson get back in this side now? That's the bizarre... I mean, it's a good problem for New Zealand to have, of course. But, Latham's not going to be dropped. Will Young, after a tricky kind of first test, he's got 2 50s in this game, or I think it's at least a 40 and a 50. Conway, again, solid. Henry Nicholls just came on, and he's one of the ones you bank for in New Zealand. Darren Mitchell's got back-to-back hundreds, and then you got Tom Blundell got 100 as keeper. So how does Williamson get back in? I think they'll probably be quite cutthroat and go Young and open with Conway, but I mean, it's not our problem. But yeah, it would have been quite interesting to see how Williamson done. It's a bit of a shame, but I mean, New Zealand haven't necessarily missed him that much, and I think he only averages about 20 in England, so potentially a little blessing in disguise for them. But you mentioned briefly, obviously, JR, Mr. Joe Root. I think, it's only right that we have a little segment to talk about his performances. Obviously, 100 in the last game as well, to winning the game there. 176, I believe it was today. Over 10,000 runs now. A lot of talk about can he get to 16,000 and beat Tendulkar. I just don't know how you get him out at the moment. Everyone says it's a purple patch, but I mean, it's been a purple patch for almost 18 months.
We were talking about when the captaincy changed as well. Like, would that affect his form? If anything, it's like taken the weight off his shoulders, and he's doing better. Like that mad shot he played today, that reversed, rampy, scoopy, flippy. What the fuck is he on?
And also, that was the second scoring shot he played. I think that's the second ball he faced today.
It's just mad. Like, I think one of the Sky commentators said something weird about, I think they were quoting Stokes saying that Root will be back to sniffing the players' socks soon. And it's like you remember back when Root put that on that Bob Willis mask, and
yeah,
he's just a bit of a joker in the dressing room, and you can't necessarily do that as captain when you're meant to be an authority figure. So, without the burden of captaincy, can he get back to just taking the piss out of everyone on and off the field? I think he's answered that.
I think so because I
No,
think there was also an article from Jeffrey Boycott last week to say like, Joe Root is a proper Test match batsman. You wouldn't see him playing daft shots like scoops, and then this week here's a scoop straight away. But no, like what I really like is it kind of gets into what I was going to talk about a little bit later about the kind of team dynamic morale kind of thing. Like it's largely the same players, but it feels like a completely different team. Like you just see Root, and Root just seems to be loving every second of it. Like I remember there was a ball earlier, I think when Broad or Potts bowled to Nichols, that almost went through onto the pad, and you just saw Root in the background just like drop to his haunches and have his head in his hands, being like, "Oh, how has that not got through?" And like, living every moment. And he came off last night or that tee yesterday, and in the middle of an innings took 20 seconds to sign a kid's bat in the stands. He's just such a great ambassador for English cricket and the game, and he's just, I think what he said, he's just riding that wave at the moment and just trying to save every minute, and not having that burden of captaincy, which he mentioned at the end of Lord's Test, was taking a toll on his mental health, and he was bringing it home with him all the time. It's affecting him and his family, and to not have that pressure and just to be able to be support to his mate Stokes, I think is really paying dividends at the moment. And probably what I enjoy most today is when he actually got out. He was absolutely livid that he's just got out for 176 in a Test match. He was fuming. Like, imagine having that hunger. Oh, I'm well annoyed. How many to score 176? Like he was just absolutely livid himself. But I mean, he's obviously loving every minute. It's great. It's great to watch, to be honest.
like I can't remember watching as good a batsman play for like years now. It's such a good sign when you watch a batsman and you can't compare him to any other type of player. Like he's not the same type of player as say like Kane or Babar Azam or Kohli or like whoever you can name. Like he's his own player. It's just so good to watch at the minute.
Great to watch, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I think it's people saying always that England's best. I mean, probably is. I mean, this is a guy who's consistently scored. He's now averaging over 50 easily. Cook, who's the next person he'll take over, I'm very certain. Didn't finish with an average over 50. I don't think anywhere necessarily near in the end. I mean, Cook had some great purple patches. Obviously, had 2010, 11, that kind of area where he was just scoring runs for fun. But Root's just doing it all the time against every opposition. Like it doesn't look like it's going to end. I mean, this will lead into South Africa where he's doesn't score a run, but I just can't see that happening. He just finds a way. Like there was a shot. Obviously, you mentioned a scoop, but I think it was late last night where he kind of did like a little whip down the ground. Like it wasn't like a proper like classical one drive. It was sort of like a kind of like a flamingo flipped, but it was all along the floor, and it looked like the most easiest thing in the world. He also was like trying to sweep Salvi at one point. It's like it's just absurd, but it's just it's great to watch. I think you just got to save every minute as we can with it, because I think he might come undone at some point, but when he's got the drive, I just don't see it ending. I mean, keeping up this reign of form is going to be tricky, of course, because the amount of cricket that England play is absurd. But no, it's just fun. It's just great, and yeah, I just want him to break all the records, to be honest. And it was Sachin is a long way away, but England plays so much Test cricket that I think it's not out of the realms of possibility that he'll finish leading Test run scorer of all time.
I would bet something on him achieving that. I don't like things like that don't come along very often, but this feels like he's on the road to getting there.
Yeah, because say he scores another 1,200 runs this year. That's up to mid 11,000s then. He's only 31, so if he's fit enough, which he tends to be, he could play to 35, 36 easy, and then we shall see. But fingers crossed. I'm sure we'll have many more Root stories to tell, and I'm just glad he's enjoying the cricket, and I think it's good to see. Um, but yeah, I mean it's almost at the end of two tests under this new regime. Um, Captain Ben, um, I've got a few opinions, but how have you found this New England? This not a Red Bull reset. I think Stokes called it a blank canvas. So let's call it Red Bull blank canvas. Um, how have you found it?
It's it's been a good watch. Like I don't know how much change there has actually been. I think they're using this series as a sort of a test to see where they need to improve upon, where they need to make changes. But I think, say with the batting lineup, they're finding some balance in there. I like you've got to give credit to the new regime too, Stokes and Key and McCullum, that there are signs of moving forward and advancement within the team. So from what I've seen so far, there's a bit of optimism back, which we've never had.
No, never. Yeah, especially the last few years for sure. But no, I'd agree definitely. Um, it's they definitely are bigging up the positivity stuff in this team. Um, I think mostly it's been showcased here in this game. Obviously, New Zealand getting 550 odd. It would have been very easy, and probably even only last year. I remember there was the game at Lords where New Zealand set us about 260, 270 to win on the last day. Um, and I think we only batted out for 150 for three just to get the draw. And it was just felt the most pointless thing in the world. But then in this game, we've just come out and just trying. We need to get up to New Zealand as quickly as we can. Like we got 380 odd runs yesterday in a day, which is just mad. Just to try and get up to parity as quick as you can to try and find a way to win the game. And then folks, Stokes, Root, all of them have been saying that if it's up around 300, we'll go for it. And I think that's just quite refreshing. That it's a team that just wants to win and find a positive way of getting it. I think it's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, in that first innings, there were only two players batting at a strike rate of under 50, and that's
Mad, yeah.
Potts and Leach.
I think Leach was naught not out, wasn't he?
Yeah, 0 off 9 balls, and Potts was 3 off 8.
What's he doing?
So, like, there's a real impetus from England to not overhit. I mean, Stokes might be going overhit. I think that's what Stokes' role is going forward. I think he wants to take that sort of pant role, if you like, to take it away from teams. And I mean, that's what Stokes is really good at. And he can also can have that role where he just sticks in as well. Like he's that good. He can switch it on and off. Like, there's an impetus without going overboard. There's an intensity without like chaos or panic, and it's really good to see. It's just nice to watch him bat now.
Yes, it definitely feels like a team in Stokes' image for sure. And I think you're right that it's not just coming out and just saying we're going to smash it from ball one. It's being, that obviously you had Root's ridiculous sweep yesterday and stuff in the Dill scoop or whatever. Yeah, but like
you can go and smash it off ball two. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But most of the innings and stuff is being very calculated. Like Lees, is not a pinch hitter. But he just came out, played, aggressively but smartly, and he got 67. I think it's just a real Stokes team, and it's the same with the bowling as well. There's only one kind of issue that I think we'll talk about in a sec, but someone like Matt Potts come in and done really well. He got a bit of tap in the first innings, but then he's responded really well in this second innings. He got 2 for 30, and that after dropping a catch, running out of folks, that mentality that Stokes is just still going to keep backing him. He was getting smashed around by Bracewell at the end of the day, and a previous England captain, someone like a Cook or potentially a Root towards the end might have been, well, we'll just push the field out and hope he skies one. But then Stokes is like, no, we're going to keep mid on up, and then next ball will go straight to mid on, and he gets the wicket. And I think that's kind of, Stokes is just prepared to leak a few runs or be a bit over aggressive just to give them the confidence to, get those rewards. And I think it's really good to see that the team has that confidence from Stokes, and he has, they all have his backing 100%. Whether or not they'll all stay into the next series, I think it's just, they're very much respected in that team, which I think, it shouldn't all be like nicey matey nights and so, but it's you can see the difference with the mentality compared to, West Indies or the Ashes, definitely.
It's good vibes, and like it's really
It is good vibes.
It's fun to see a bit more unconventional field placements. Like there was someone at silly mid on. There's a leg slip sometimes. Like that's what I want to see. Like it's really tiny things in the game.
Yeah.
Like it's just different enough for it to keep everything interesting and like keep the batsmen on their toes as well.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, and I think like Broad got a wicket with Blundell caught at short fine leg as well in a Test match, which is just nuts. But yeah, it's great. It's fun to watch. I think. Yeah, my only issue I would say out of all of it, because Crawley and Bairstow are gonna get a couple more games at least, because that's kind of mentality of this team, and I think that's completely fair enough. I don't think necessarily there's anyone absolutely smashing the door down for the opening spot at the moment. I would be very hesitant to go back to a Burns or Lees. I just think that's just not Lees even. Sorry, we're keeping Lees. A Burns or Sibley, just because they used to play in the same way, but now Lees actually plays like a proper batsman. And I think that's another telling thing that, he's gone out and had more confidence to play his shots rather than just be, like he was in the West Indies, just very, very defensive. We don't need another Sibley. Let's see where that led us. But, going back to a Burns or Sibley or Hamid at this stage, I just think it's not the right time. I think, Crawley's got the talent there. It's very easy to say that he's got a couple of good ones. In the end, you're going to say, well, in the end, you've got to stop nicking those good ones. And I think similar with Bairstow as well. Like, if their time comes, their time will come. Like, Stokes isn't going to be the person to be like, oh, they've not got any runs, we'll just keep them because they're mates. If, like, Harry Brook is absolutely still continue to smash the door down, Bairstow isn't scoring runs, Brook will come in. It will just eventually get there. But I think for now, it's fine. They can stay in. I don't see the problem with chopping and changing right now when you've got like you say, a good vibes team. I think you don't really want to break up them good vibes after 2 bad games in this kind of reset or blank canvas. But I think you may disagree. But
I think Crawley's running out of lives. I'm not convinced he's an opener. I think he's a number 3 playing opener, but like after Pope's score this match, it's hard to say Crawley pop that to 3, Pope replace Bairstow, and we find a new opener, Sam Robson. Maybe like you'll hate that, but Robson's been doing decently the past couple of seasons.
Still okay, yeah.
But I'm fine giving Crawley a couple more chances because you can see the talent is there, but I'm not convinced he's playing in the right position.
Yeah, maybe not. No, yeah, I can completely understand that, and I think you can only have so many chances. He did get a good 40 odd in that first innings at Lords when everyone else got nothing, and I think this team will be very much let's give them the vibes. If they've got the right vibe checks, we'll see how they go. But yeah, if he has a couple more bad games, then I have no doubt they'll be like, oh, let's see who we can bring in.
And to be fair, if you've got your other opening partner and your number 3 and then Root performing, you can kind of afford to have him like underperforming a little bit and to sort of try and like work him back into some form of him. Like give him a little bit more time and then just see where it goes.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily have too much of an issue if they were to say this is our team for the summer. I wouldn't necessarily have too much problem then if you had injuries, Brook comes in, or like you say, if Sam Robson needs to come in, sure. But I don't think this team was going to chop and change too much. And I think, especially for Brendan McCullum, who's only just coming into the role, I think he'll want to make sure he's definitely got the right assessment of all of them before he discards them. I feel like that's the Kiwi nice guy in him, that who, give them a couple more chances than they think they would. I think is what his words has been, which is a little bit Chris Silverwood, but I mean, I think Brendan McCullum already seems twice to coach.
I would say that past the past regime, that's where we've fallen down a bit. Like we have chopped and changed after one test match when
Yeah,
someone's been poor, when you could have just gone like, we'll ride out this storm a little bit instead of just mixing up the team completely. Well, not completely, like one or two players, but that still affects the balance of the team. That affects like the rhythm of
massively.
everything.
Yeah,
Like just to say,
yeah, especially when it's like
yeah,
when it's an open partnership as well. Like the Ashes is a prime example. Where we started with Burns and Hamid, then it's Hamid and Crawley, and then it was Crawley and Burns, and then West Indies Crawley and Lees. It's like you can't have that chop and change so much, especially at the top of the order, because that you've got to find that partnership that gels and works. And if they think that Lees and Crawley are a partnership that's gonna, really persevere, then I think they're gonna stick with them.
yeah.
Personally,
It takes time for chemistry to blossom like that. So, you know, take the time. Why not?
agree. Yeah. I think Bairstow's slightly different because obviously he's played about 84 tests now. Obviously got 200s earlier this year. I do think he is in need of a score, just considering how good Harry Brook is going at the moment. But I think he's kind of integral at the moment in this team, whilst they find their manager talk identity, because he's a kind of experienced head in there in that middle order. That when his time comes, they can just once Folks has got more runs under his belt, Lees has established himself, Pope is a firm number 3, and then when you need to move on from Bairstow, you can do that a bit easier. I think for now it's fine personally.
Yeah, he's part of the vibes at the minute, and like
Yeah.
when the time does
Ginger
come,
vibes.
yeah, ginger vibes. When the time does come that he does come out of the team, you can probably just say like he's the backup keeper then, and then it's kind of an easy replacement to come in and just have someone with the good vibes and knows the dressing room.
Yeah,
go for it.
for sure,
Yeah.
definitely. And yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. My main thing before we move on to predictions for this game and stuff, I think is going to be about Leach. Obviously had to come out of the first game due to concussion, and Parkinson played. Came straight back in for this game, which I was surprised about when he announced the team, considering it was only 7 days after the first test. I can't say that I think he's bowled well. And this is kind of off the back of the Ashes and the West Indies, where he bowled fine in West Indies, but didn't really offer a lot. Australia obviously got smashed around a bit, and I just felt when I was watching it, when I was at Trent Bridge on Friday, but also a bit today, that I don't really feel that anything's changed that much from when Australia took them apart at Brisbane. I just don't see where that wicket's coming from unless it's a batsman error. But then if you're not getting wickets, he's not containing either. And I think that's a concern. Like, I think he was going over 4 and over for most of the first innings. He brought it back a bit at the end. But then today especially, he was going up at near 5s for a little bit. And I think that's a concern when that's your spinner. And in this kind of game as well, when you're trying to get them out for a win, I was a bit concerned by it. What's your thoughts on Jack Leach?
I mean, he always used to be the one to keep it tight at one end as well. Like he wasn't going to be your wicket-taking spinner. He was meant to starve one end, and then whoever's bowling at the other is trying to get that wicket at all costs. But now he's become the one that batsmen target. And like I think we were talking earlier today about Devon Conway just reverse sweeping him for fun. It was literally playing the same shot over and over again. It's just kind of sad to see. I don't know how much the concussion has affected him, if he's still like feeling the consequences of that. I don't think he should have been in the team because of that. Like in football, I think, I don't know, you have to pass so many tests or waits however long. Like when Smith had his concussion in the Ashes a couple of years ago, he didn't play the next match.
No.
Like I don't think he should have been playing this match, whatever. So I'm willing to give him a little bit of leeway because of that. But I think it's the end for him, really.
A little bit of Leach way.
Hey, nice one.
Hey, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think I my problem was, I mean, again, it could be a lot of what's happened since, and he might not have had so much time to prepare as well if he's had to do a lot of concussion tests. But just watching him live, just like, there's not a lot that goes into his action. It's very just sort of walk up and bowl. And I think about it's at least every over, 3 or 4 balls are short, and the batsman can just go back and defend. And I think as a spinner, you've really got to be getting up there. You've got to be really revving it, coming forward. That's where you can get more spin from. But just so that the batsman just had so much time, just every kind of over, just to go back, punch it to point, just rock back and defend. I never felt a time when there was pressure, unless the batsman made an error like Conway did today. I think that's a shame. And you see how well he does at Somerset, at Taunton, which I guess maybe brings into question the quality of county championship and stuff. But I think it was a concern. I do think it's fine to give him the benefit of the doubt for this game, but I think you then look at the West Indies and Australia, and the fact that they didn't even trust enough to pick him last summer at all, or the summer before that. Picking people like Don Bess ahead of him. I think maybe that potentially says a lot. But I think it's really difficult because Leachy is a very likeable player. You want him to do well. It's great to see him perform. But I think there was those averages I sent you the other day that he just doesn't get wickets in the first innings. He doesn't come into the game until third and fourth innings. But then today he wasn't really doing anything. So I think that is a concern. But he'll also know that as well as everyone, won't he? I mean, everyone's very quickly to judge him and say Leach has got to be out, but you've just got to think about the pressure he must be feeling and be under. Seeing Parkinson get wickets for fun for Lancashire, all that kind of Mo talk again, rash talk, that kind of stuff, that he knows that there's potential other options to come in, and he'll know that he's not performed as well as he should. I mean, it's plain and obvious to see. So it's just how he handles that pressure. But I think if he has got a chance to perform, it will be under these good vibes, I reckon. So we'll see, I guess. I think that's most of the stuff I was going to talk about. Obviously, Jimmy got 650 wickets today, which is pretty wild.
The great rivalry between Jimmy and Trent Boult, vying for most runs from a number 11.
I know, that was fun. I think
I care about that
Bolt's
more than the
six,
actual match. Yeah.
There was a shot this morning that Anson played, and I was sure it had gone for 6. And I don't think I'd ever been more disappointed to see the umpire signal 4. He absolutely middled a sweep, and I thought, oh my god, he's hit another 6. I think he's only hit a couple in his career. I was like, this is going to be great. And then it's 4. I was so disappointed. Probably more disappointed in the Ashes that it hadn't gone for 6.
I mean, even the way he just gets out, advancing down the pitch.
Yeah.
He's 6 away from that ball, and you can just tell he knows he's 6 away, and he's trying to get that.
Yeah. Been great. And obviously we had the token reverse sweep and stuff, so it's great. I love it. It's a good little rivalry. But yeah, so we've got the current state of play before we wrap up. New Zealand lead by 238, 7 wickets down. Jameson's not going to bowl the rest of this game, I'm pretty certain. What is your prediction for day 5?
It's a really tough one. I think with 238 runs behind now, I think it'll be a draw, but I think England are going to go for it when we get in.
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever we're chasing will be a bit too much. Not that it will stop us trying. We'll get so far and be like, it's probably not achievable, and just try and see it out.
My red hot take is that it's not going to be a draw. I think there's a chance that we probably skittle New Zealand tomorrow morning, similar to what happened at Lord's. But I think that New Zealand might not mind. I think New Zealand will want England to go for it in the same way England want to go for it and win. And I remember we were only 2 innings ago, we were all out for 140. So it's not like everything's changed that much. I mean, there's definitely I think, whatever New Zealand set, England are going to go for whatever. And I think even if that comes down to needing 30 off 10 overs, but with 7 wickets down, I don't think they'll shut up shop at all.
I mean,
So I think,
like New Zealand get those 12 runs to make it 250. They've got a little carrot to dangle for England, and like if England are more likely to go for bigger shots because they need to get runs quicker, and they're more likely to get out as well. So it'd be a great contest.
Yeah, what we got to remember as well that New Zealand are 1-0 down.
Yeah.
They need to win. They can't not. If they want to win this series, they've got to win here. If they want to settle for a draw, fine. But I don't feel like they're the same team. They're I think England are bringing out that same kind of positivity from New Zealand as well, from the way New Zealand's definitely played in that last session. That New Zealand need to win this as well. And I really don't see any team kind of lying down to be like, let's just block out, because England could have quite easily have done that for today and yesterday. They could have only scored 250 runs yesterday for 2 wickets and then done the same, just get the draw. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a draw at all. I'm happy to eat my words, but I just can't see it happening. I think it'd be great. Tickets are free if you want to go. You're in Nottingham at your loose end. I'm so annoyed that they're free and I'm working.
Just blow it off. Let's go. Just not Cricket Pod live from Trent Bridge.
Back to Nottingham again. Honestly, I did look at train prices and like how logistically can I possibly do it? And then I was like, no, it's too expensive. I was like, oh, can I drive?
You can pick me up on the way if you want.
That'd be quite a route.
Right, yeah.
I have to get about 6 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, nice. I'm excited. And it's not often I've been able to say that recently, so I'm looking forward to it. Right, that was a lot of England cricket chat. I think we were going to talk about grounds and stuff, but I think we'll save that for the next pod.
Fun.
Jamie and I did go to Lord's last week. It's part of my stag, which was fun.
Yep.
Thank
you, Joe and Ben, for bringing my money back. That was very nice.
Yeah. I think it only been 2 more balls and we only got 50% of that money back, so that's wild. That was incredible scenes. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about cricket, because obviously I went to Trent Bridge as well. I've not mentioned that in today's podcast. But I think, it'd be quite nice to talk about English cricket grounds and their weird little quirks and stuff, because they're all completely different. I don't think there's one English ground that is similar to another. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that, because I think that could be quite a lot of stuff to say. But I think we've talked about too much cricket for this cricket podcast. So we're going to go back live to Jamie for It's Just Not Cricket.
Because cricket is boring, and no one wants to talk about games that have no suspense or excitement or like potential day 5 dramas. Like, in actuality, we're a Lord of the Rings of Power podcast. And
you've been duped.
It's just not cricket. So yeah. That's the jingle from now on. So yeah, they've released a few new promotional materials via Empire magazine. There's a few new covers they've released. John Howe, one of the most prominent Tolkien artists, has been a concept artist on the show. They've released a concept art of the snow troll, I think, that was seen in the trailer. There's been an establishing shot of some bloke on a tower looking over some land, so it's potential theories going around where that is, and a shot of some old bloke as Celebrimbor, who the character is younger than Galadriel but looks older than her. There's just, I hate it.
Right, I'm gonna try and do some swing and miss positives here.
Go on.
I really love that landscape shot.
Do you
of that
have a guess as to where that might be?
No idea. I think it's a elf one, because I think the character there is the elf character who's in the trailer with the bow. I think that kind of tower looks a bit almost like a helmet, a bit like an elven helmet. So it's obviously some kind of watchtower, so maybe some trees. I don't think it's Mirkwood because it's not dense enough for a forest or anything like that. But I'm picturing elvenish stuff.
So I read a theory or analysis earlier that is suggesting it could be Mordor. Like there's a river that
Oh,
runs through, and like towards the end, in the background of the picture is like a body of water. There's like a sea or a lake or something in Mordor that happens. That like
oh,
this
okay,
could be Mordor pre-evilness,
right, okay.
which is really interesting.
I think that is really interesting. Actually, that did perk my interest when you said that.
Yeah, it
Um,
it makes you go whoa.
Lord of the Rings that makes you go whoa. Um, but yeah, what I've liked so far from what I've seen from this is the establishing shots
Mhm.
and the landscapes, and that first image they had of um, the Undying Land. It was the Undying Lands, wasn't it? That first one. I'm
I
pretty sure.
I don't think it's been confirmed what it is. It's a part of the Undying Lands or Valinor or Amarna.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the West. Yeah.
Yeah. The West. Nice. 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 But I would love that to be Mordor, to be honest, because that would be you can then really take that dark to how it all decays
Mhm.
and a volcano arrives. Um, the troll concept art looks good. I just love concept art anyway. I didn't know that he was already a Tolkien illustrator, so that's fun. That's good. Um, positives, 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 positives. I think that I said this for the podcast. I think Galadriel looks great. I think that looks a great kind of warrior get up. I just don't see it for Galadriel. Um, I think she's a great actress. I've said this before. I think she'll be really,
Mhm.
really good. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure how it's really going to go.
I think
To your point
yeah,
about,
I
sorry,
think she looks really good as like the ethereal Galadriel, like the
yeah,
Lady of Lorien. But
yeah,
there's just something you can't put your finger on with the warrior.
bit strange,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, bit odd. Um, Dwarves, like, yeah, sure, they're dwarves. Hobbits, I like the hobbits are obviously just in this, so people be like, oh, I remember hobbits, um, which is fine
yeah.
as long as I don't really see what they're going to have that massively impactful to the story.
I mean,
I think I mentioned this. Sorry,
that's the concern, isn't it? That they play so big a part that it takes away from like the unexpected heroes of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
point is like Bilbo, Frodo, etc. are meant to be like unsuspecting heroes that are thrust into an adventure.
yeah, yeah,
Also, Lenny Henry kind of looks like a mad scientist hobbit.
yeah. It doesn't look like he looks like he's a hobbit in disguise.
Yeah, like he's done some sort of experiment with electricity and his hair's just gone.
Yeah, and he does look tall to be a hobbit, doesn't he? Even when they're all supposed to be small, he looks still quite tall.
And feet
Um,
their feet, like I know their hobbit feet are meant to be big, but they look just weird, flat.
yeah, strange. I guess the hobbits are always seen as that kind of way in for like a reader or
Mhm.
viewer, that they're the most relatable characters that you can mostly connect to,
As
and that you're
opposed,
kind of seeing it through,
yeah,
yeah,
as
as opposed
opposed
to
to
like an elf
humans.
or a dwarf. I mean, but even with the humans, like I feel like they're still like I don't know, they're more like clued up in this world and stuff, and I don't know what I'm really trying to say, but I feel like the connection with like Frodo, you connect more with someone like
Mhm.
Frodo than you do with Boromir. Um,
They
but
are,
yeah,
yeah,
we'll see. I think
like they are people that are living simpler lives as opposed to those like involved in
yeah,
monarchies or high politics or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. That yeah, that's explaining my point much better. Um, so the old elf guy, what's his name again? Because he was in Shadow of War game, wasn't he?
He was.
Shadow of Mordor.
So this
Yeah,
is Celebrimbor. Spoiler alert for things that
yeah,
have been written like decades ago. He helped Sauron in creating some of the rings of power. He helped forge the Nine Rings and the Seven Dwarven Rings. Uh,
yeah,
but Celebrimbor made the three Elven Rings on his own, so Sauron didn't have influence over them, which is why he couldn't corrupt whoever wore those three. Which in Lord
to
of the
be
Rings,
fair,
yeah,
I, I've followed Lord of the Rings for a long, long time. I never knew that. That's going to show off my casual vibes. I never knew that he made the rings without the knowledge of Sauron. That's cool. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I mean, Sauron like came to his land, and like the only person that was like, yeah, this dude's a bit weird was Galadriel, and that like Celebrimbor and Galadriel are related in some fashion, and they were
Mm.
quite close. And Galadriel going, like this Anatar bloke's a bit weird, like fractured their friendship, and she left. And then
Yeah,
Sauron went on a bit of a mad one.
he did. Yeah, nice. So I mean, it's obviously called Rings of Power. So I mean, he absolutely had to be in the series.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it is a bit strange, isn't it, when you consider the ages compared to Galadriel and him.
It's
Um, so with the forgive my ignorance,
mhm.
um, would these rings have been forged at the same time as the what the show is based around, the Second Age and the fall of whatever that island is?
Numenor. So,
Numenor, that's the one. Yeah.
I don't know specifically timelines. I think the Nazgul exist prior to Numenor falling, which means
Right.
the rings would have had to been forged before then.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just yeah, because
like
my feeling is, I mentioned this to you the other day. I just feel that it's not going to be one set narrative. I've got the vibe feeling that maybe the Galadriel storyline will be set hundreds of years before whatever happens in the main one. If they're going for that, because if it's that obvious an age difference and it doesn't make any sense, I just feel that maybe there might be another older Galadriel that they'll use, and I don't know. I just feel that it's such a weird thing to get so wrong.
yeah, I cannot like think of the reason why they've chosen to have Celebrimbor look a bit older. Like
Yeah,
if you look at the Jackson movies with say Elrond or Celeborn,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
even like Galadriel themselves,
Or Flandwheel and stuff.
yeah, and they are they have that sort of agelessness about them.
Yeah,
Like one of Tolkien's descriptions of Elrond is that he looks youthful, but you can see his age. It's like a sort of juxtaposition or contradiction within his description.
yeah,
And you can kind of see that with Morfydd Clark's Galadriel. There's a bit of, like I said, I think she's good with the ethereal nature.
yeah.
You can see like there's an immortality she can portray, or
She looks like an elf.
yeah, exactly. But like with the Celebrimbor portrayal, like he is an older actor, and that shows. It's just a weird take for me,
Yeah,
and
and it's also yeah, sorry,
I don't
go on.
even want to get on the hair. The hair really bothers me. It shouldn't. It's a really it's a small nitpick,
But
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like an important one as well.
But that is also the second elf that we've seen with short hair as well,
Mhm.
isn't it? Because Elrond's also got very short hair.
What
Um,
there was two with short hair in the trailer.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the one in Harad or whatever, the archer, and the bloke with the golden armor, they both had pretty much no
yeah,
hair. And like Celebrimbor and Elrond have some straight up 70s mullets.
for sure. Um, but no, I know what you mean. Like, I feel that you know, Galadriel, obviously in Lothlorien, which I guess is what we've seen before, that vibe I think she's absolutely got. And I think the warrior getup is great and looks good, but just seeing that integrated into how it actually works here is going to be interesting. I I just feel that that storyline's got to be set before. I just can't see it happening in conjunction with everything else. And if it does, I feel that'd be a bit strange. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think I've got much else to say. Um, I feel like we're going to be getting another trade. Now I've got all these images. I feel like another trailer's around the corner because that first trailer offered nothing. I just feel like you just need a bit more substance to what's happening rather than just have all these pretty images.
Yeah,
Um,
I think a trailer's not too far off. I think in the coming weeks we'll see one.
yeah,
I think the showrunners have also said they've got an idea of what the final shot for the series will be as well. So that could be something we've already seen in the Jackson films, or like potentially something we've never had on screen before.
yeah. Maybe that is the. But I guess it wouldn't be like Mordor forming because I imagine that they would already had the One Ring forged by this point. I feel like it's got to be the big um, final alliance, big battle thing. I think that's got to be the point you end at. Because I don't really think there's much. I mean, it's obviously must be stuff after with like Isildur and stuff, but I don't feel there's substance-wise a more climactic moment than that until you get to Third Age dramas.
I've got a small feeling that it's going to be something like when Isildur falls and the ring falls in the river, where Smeagol where Deagle will find it eventually.
Yeah, yeah,
But like it, you don't know. It could be like a charge of the Last Alliance. It could be Isildur taking the ring in Mordor.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
hard to say.
yeah. Maybe it's hard to say because we don't know how long they're going to be doing it for and what point they're going to stop.
Uh,
Because you don't. I guess it's not been. Has it been ruled out that they would just then go into Hobbit and then go into Lord of the Rings?
I don't know. Like I think they've got 5 seasons down. I think it's going to be 5 seasons long, no matter what.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if they were to go into The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, it would be a separate entity.
Yeah. But I guess now they've got the rights, they could always have this 5 season thing, and then later down the line, be like, "Oh, it's been long enough now. We'll redo those as well." But I guess we'll see. That's all hypothetical madness. Um, but we'll see. I mean, I really want it to be good. England cricket's now quite good. Um, we're getting there in little things, one at a time. We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. You might be pleasantly surprised.
We'll see. I don't know.
Well, when we have the next trailer, we'll have to do a reaction on the pod for all you Lord of the Rings cricket fans.
Because we are a Rings of Power podcast.
Yeah. It's just not Rings of Power.
Hey.
But yeah, I think that'll pretty much do us for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jamie, for joining and talking.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, yeah, it's
nice.
our podcast. I don't know why I'm saying like you're a guest. But yeah, we'll try me back soon. I think we'll probably either do a preview of the third test or a review of the third test, or do it halfway through again like we're doing now. So always going to Nottingham tomorrow. Enjoy. Good luck to the England. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a draw, so I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm at work. I'm in the office tomorrow, so I'll sneakily have it on somewhere. But yeah, excited. Obviously, follow us on all the social medias. It's just not Crick Pod on Instagram, on Twitter, and now on TikTok. Are you excited about TikTok, Jamie?
I completely forgot about TikTok.
You can never forget about TikTok. I need to add it to all our socials. But yeah, get involved if you want to see the same clips that are on our Instagram, but on TikTok. But yeah, thank you for listening as ever if you got this far. GG's. And as ever, Jamie, do you want to sign us out?
Cricket. Going. Play. Day 5. Win. England.
Excellent. Well done. Thanks. Bye-bye.